last year, but they lost both coordinators to the Jets and the Bears, and now their win total drops down to 10.5.
Yeah.
Here's their non-division schedule: Browns, Cowboys, Giants, Steelers, Bucks at home, Ravens, Bengals, Eagles, Commanders.
Now that's a tough road
That's
schedule.
a heck
road.
of that road schedule.
Holy
is
moly.
monstrous.
And then you add Bears, Packers, Vikings on the road as well. That might be too tough of a road schedule. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm an under on them. I'm just not going to step on the rake again of you've lost both coordinators, and it's not going to matter. I think it will.
So then, are you out on them as far as the playoffs?
No.
Because if they get 9, well, I guess it could be 10.
10. I think that the NFC North might have, multiple teams at 9-10 wins, and they're you know what I mean, and they're one of them. But so I just don't think they're going to run away and hide the way. And I guess last year they didn't run away and hide; they had to win in week 17 or week 18. But they won 15 games. So I'll go under for them.
Well, I was glad that the line is at 10.5 because I certainly don't see them getting close to 15 wins again. Like I thought. I thought maybe they go at least 11.5 again on them because I do think they're taking a step back, but I still am at the over right now. Now that schedule is a murderer's row of schedule, but I have them over. I think it'll be like 11 wins. I do think they're not going to do what they did last year. Obviously they lost the coordinators, but look, and with all due respect to Glenn and Johnson, Dan Campbell is the architect. I'm not saying he's the brains behind every single thing, but he is the architect of this culture change in Detroit. Aiden Hutchinson is going to be on a mission after only playing 5 games last year. And I just think in general, their players, I think, I talked about the Bills having a, little bit of a letdown. And I just feel like they're not going to have a letdown because I think Campbell will be able to motivate his guys. I think those players, with the way they went out last year, will be extra motivated. And again, I don't think they win 14 games. Right. But I think like I said, I think they'll win at 11.
Okay. So I'm excited to talk about this. And I actually think, first off, let's just get this off the top. This road schedule is wild. I don't care how great of a team you think you are. Even if Ben Johnson and Glenn, everyone was still there. This road schedule, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Eagles, the Commanders, the Chiefs, the Rams. I mean, that's a real road schedule, man. I mean, that's insane. That really is insane. I don't even know. There's no other way to slice it. You'd be happy if you won 3 of those games. If you just split them, that would be an absolute victory. I'm excited for these games though. Are you kidding me? Lions on the road against the Ravens, the Bengals, the Eagles, Commanders. I mean, dude, so a bunch of those games have to be nationally televised too, for sure. So there's going to be a bunch of those are going to be Sunday, Monday night games, or Thursday night. So I mean, I'm pumped. When I see a schedule like that, I'm like, oh dude, we get to watch the Lions against the Eagles and the Commanders and the Chiefs and the Ravens. Dude, I am all for that. Pseudo rematch with Rams and stuff like that, with obviously Matthew Stafford. So yeah, I'm all for that. The home schedule's I almost feel bad for the Detroit fans. You get to see the Cleveland Browns, yay, the New York Giants, all right, the Steelers and Mason Rudolph, yippee. You get to have potentially a revenge game against the Buccaneers, but that was hard. That game hardly really mattered at the end of the day for their season last season. And then of course obviously the Packers, Vikings, and Bears, which will always be box office for those. But yeah, listen, I've said this a lot now. I think they'll absolutely be a step back to a degree. And again, it's not to say that you were out of a scale of 0 to 100 that last year that you were 100, and now losing both your coordinators, you dropped down to 80. But if you want to say that this team was 100 last year, to imagine that you're going to lose both coordinators and not at least drop down to 95, I just think it's just kind of absurd, because then you would be saying that those coaches did not matter and losing them did not matter, or that you can easily replace two head coaching caliber coordinators, and it's just not the way the NFL works. So there's going to be that potential to kind of have that backward slide, and we always use the Philadelphia Eagles as a reference. But the difference is, and I've already made other videos, and so I won't go into it too deeply, where I said that I could see the argument that I'm excited to see what this offense looks like now beyond Ben Johnson. But I do think, though, that the Eagles in 23, like I think they started 10-1 or whatever, but that record was so incredibly misleading. They easily could have only won like 3 games out of those. Like they were winning games by very very fortunate events on their part. A missed extra point here, going up against the Buffalo Bills, who had like 12 penalties or like something outrageous, a missed pass interference call like in the fourth quarter. Like they were on, they were winning games by games they easily could have lost. And they had their issues with their coordinators, and it was just it obviously was just not working. But I think if let's just say, and again, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but even if the Lions had that problem, let's say they hired 2 coordinators who were just the wrong guys, right? They were just the wrong guys. That is the benefit of having a Dan Campbell, who, like Brew was saying, is the architect of that culture, and that team buys into so much and believes in him so much that even if things were clearly not going perfectly, the team itself would still have so much belief in them. And that's where the Eagles really fell apart. They did not believe. And even in that playoff game against the Buccaneers, like you saw Troy Aikman and Joe Buck be like, I've never seen a team more. He's like, when we were talking to them, before the game started, like that you could just tell that this was a team that just like was already defeated, not ready to play. And then in that game, you saw them like, they had so many missed tackles. Like it was like the yards after catch was through the roof. The tackling was like comically, hilariously awful. Like everybody was just like, we're done. We don't got it. And that I pretty much see never happening with the Detroit Lions. Never happening. Even if you realize, oh my God, we hired the 2 worst coordinators in the history of the NFL, like there's still going to be belief. There's still going to be, they're still going to do everything they can to overcome that. And again, to be very clear, I'm not saying that they hired awful coordinators, but I'm just saying that is the benefit of the culture and the coach that Dan Campbell is, that I think really is kind of a safeguard of that. But, again, I think it's just, unrealistic to think that there won't be any type of, backwards, any type of backstep when you lose 2 great coordinators. It's just bound to happen. It's bound to happen. But again, it doesn't mean that you go from being a top Super Bowl contender to just, you're a playoff contender. Like that doesn't mean that at all either. I think part of the real question is do the Packers actually take a step forward? Do the Bears actually take a step forward? And what do the Vikings look like with JJ McCarthy? Do the Vikings really struggle with JJ? Does JJ go through, first year starter, rookie quarterback, essentially growing pains? Does it take a minute or two for Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams to kind of get things going? And, do the Packers and Jordan Love, like, do they actually right this ship? Last season was really up and down. Do they get this going? To me, that'll be kind of pretty interesting, especially because the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores and Matt LaFleur and obviously Ben Johnson, like those are some big coaching advantages that you're going up against now. Like you just are. And for a long time, the Lions in most games they played had the undeniable coaching advantage that things just start to get a little bit more even or even slightly backwards. But that Lions roster is still obviously legit. It's still obviously stacked and filled with dudes. So the Lions are going to be a fascinating team to kind of see. I'm honestly, when I look at a lot of these schedules, I get so excited. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see how all this stuff unfolds. But the Lions are definitely also one of those teams where I'm very much kind of like, I'm just fascinated from a more technical aspect of what this team looks like, how this team evolves, how they play a team like the Ravens now, how they play a team like the Eagles. When they really wanted revenge, when they really wanted to prove a point, they brought such intensity as well as such high level intelligence and innovation and imagination because of, again, the combination of Dan Campbell and their coordinators. And so now you're losing a little bit of that. Like Ben Johnson was the reason why you had like 15 trick plays against the Dallas Cowboys. Like, that you're not necessarily going to bring that. If you still had Ben Johnson on the Lions, like, you know, you would want to prove a point that, like, we could beat the Commanders with a full strength. We could beat the Eagles, and you would really want to send that message. And I believe that Dan Campbell is going to want to send that message. But, you know, do you have the high level coordinating and game plan to really do so in the way like how you were able to absolutely embarrass the Dallas Cowboys to just, you know, honestly, it was one of the funniest games I've ever, the two funniest games that I've seen, and I usually don't describe games as funny. The two funniest games that I've seen in the last like decade or so have been two Dallas Cowboys games. The Packers in the playoffs against the Dallas Cowboys and the Lions against the Cowboys. I mean, it just makes you laugh from start to finish. So, you know, I'm interested to see how they keep that edge, and then how is it actually expressed when it comes down to it, because it has to be more than just intensity. It's obviously also, you know, you got to bring the X's and O's as well. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Detroit Lions potentially taking a step backwards, but still being a top team in the NFL? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.